The arena was silent. Not the kind of silence that comes from peace, but the kind that suffocates, presses against your chest, and reminds you that something terrible is about to happen. Billions were watching. Across the galaxy, countless species tuned in to witness what the High Dominion called a demonstration of justice. But everyone knew the truth. It was an execution, and the condemned was human. Alara Vance stood alone at the center of the arena, her wrists bound in glowing restraint cuffs that hummed with suppression fields. Her breathing was steady, though her heart pounded hard enough to make her vision pulse. Above her, suspended platforms carried the Dominion Council, towering, alien figures of impossible forms, their eyes fixed on her like predators observing wounded prey. A voice echoed through the arena. Subject: human. Designation: Alara Vance. Crime: unauthorized contact with restricted biological entity. Sentencing: immediate termination. A ripple of anticipation spread through the audience. Alara didn't look up. Instead, she stared at the far end of the arena, at the massive reinforced gate slowly grinding open. She had seen what they kept behind that gate. Once. That had been enough. The ground trembled. Heavy, slow, deliberate. Each step sent vibrations through the metal floor. Then it emerged. The monster. It was enormous, easily 3 times the height of any being in the arena. Its body was a shifting mass of armored plates and dark, sinewy muscle. Jagged protrusions ran along its spine like blades, glistening under the harsh arena lights. Its eyes burned with a deep, predatory intelligence. Not mindless, not tame, dangerous. Behold, the announcer's voice rang out, dripping with theatrical delight. Specimen X, 47. Apex predator. Untamed. Unbroken. The creature exhaled, a low, rumbling growl that seemed to vibrate through bone. Alara closed her eyes. 15 seconds. That's how long the Dominion expected this to last. 15 seconds until she was torn apart. The cuffs on her wrists flickered, releasing just enough to allow her arms to move. Not enough to escape. Just enough to struggle. Just enough to make it entertaining. The creature stepped forward. 1, 2, 3. Each step echoed like a countdown. Alara didn't move. The crowd murmured. Why wasn't she running? Why wasn't she screaming? The creature stopped just a few meters away from her. It tilted its massive head, studying her. Alara slowly opened her eyes and whispered, "I remember you." The arena fell into confusion. The creature froze. For a single heartbeat, nothing happened. Then, a sound. Soft. Almost curious. The monster lowered its head. Closer. The guards shifted uneasily. "What is this?" one of the council members hissed. Alara took a slow step forward. The restraint cuffs sparked, warning her, but she didn't stop. "You were smaller then," she said quietly. Bleeding. Terrified. A flicker of movement rippled across the creature's body. Recognition. The crowd grew restless. "This is not normal behavior," another council member said sharply. "Command the specimen." But the handlers hesitated. Because something was wrong. Very wrong. Alara raised her hand. Slowly. Carefully. The creature's massive form tensed. Weapons across the arena powered up. Targeting systems locked. Every instinct screamed that she was about to die. But Alara didn't stop. Her hand reached the creature's face. And gently, she touched it. Gasps erupted across the arena. The creature didn't strike, didn't roar, didn't attack. Instead, it leaned into her touch, like it remembered, because it did. Months earlier, a remote research outpost, hidden beyond regulated space. Alara had been part of a small scientific team studying unknown life forms, cataloging, observing, understanding.
Until they found it.
Not as a monster, not as an apex predator, but as a wounded creature, barely alive, its body riddled with injuries, its breathing shallow and broken. The Dominion would have classified it as a weapon. Alara saw something else. A living being in pain. She wasn't supposed to interfere. Protocol was clear. Observe only. But she couldn't walk away. Not when it looked at her the way it did. Afraid. So she stayed. She treated its wounds. Spoke to it. Sat beside it through nights where it trembled with pain. And slowly, it healed. It learned her voice. Her presence. Her scent.
Trust.
But the Dominion found out. They arrived without warning.
Armed.
Ruthless. They saw what the creature could become. And they took it. Alara tried to stop them. Tried to explain. Tried to tell them it wasn't just a weapon. They didn't listen. They never listened. And now, here it was. Brought back not as a patient, but as an executioner. Back in the arena. The creature exhaled slowly, its massive form lowering until it was nearly level with Alara. The crowd had gone silent again. But this silence was different. Uncertain. Uncomfortable. Command the specimen, the lead council member roared. A sharp pulse emitted from the control towers. A command signal. The creature's body jerked. Its muscles tensed violently. A low, pained growl escaped its throat. Alara's eyes widened. They're controlling you, she whispered. Another pulse. Stronger. The creature staggered back, its head snapping toward her. Its eyes flickered. Confusion.
Pain. Conflict.
The crowd leaned forward. This was it. The moment. 15 seconds had passed. And still. She was alive. Terminate the human. The command came again, sharper, more aggressive. The creature let out a roar. But it wasn't one of rage. It was agony. Alara stepped forward again. Hey, it's okay, she said softly. The restraint cuffs surged, sending a jolt through her arms. She winced, but didn't stop. They're trying to make you hurt me, she continued. You don't have to listen. The creature's claws dug into the arena floor. Another pulse hit. This time it forced movement. The creature lunged. The crowd gasped. Weapons powered to full. This was the end. But at the last second, the creature twisted, its massive body slamming into the arena wall instead of Alara. The impact shook the entire structure. Cracks spiderwebbed across reinforced plating. The control towers flickered. What is it doing? A council member shouted. It's resisting, another replied, panic creeping into their voice. Alara dropped to her knees, breathing hard. Good, she whispered. Fight it. The creature roared again, louder this time, shaking the air itself. The control signals intensified. But something had changed. It wasn't just reacting anymore. It was choosing. The next command came. Kill her. The creature turned toward Alara. Its eyes locked onto hers. For a moment, time stopped. Then it moved.
Fast.
Too fast. It closed the distance in an instant. The crowd erupted. This was it. This was the moment they had paid to see. The kill. But instead of claws, instead of teeth, the creature positioned itself between Alara and the control towers. A shield. A protector. And then it roared. Not in pain. Not in obedience. But in defiance. The arena trembled. Energy weapons fired. Blasts of plasma slammed into the creature's armored hide. It didn't move. Didn't retreat. It stood its ground, taking the full force of the Dominion's weapons. For her, Alara stared up at it, disbelief flooding her chest. You remember, she whispered. The creature let out a low rumble. Affirmation. The council erupted into chaos. This is unacceptable. Shut it down. Destroy it if necessary. But it was too late. The creature had made its choice. And now, so had Alara. She forced herself to her feet, ignoring the pain in her arms. "Hey," she shouted. "Big guy." The creature glanced down at her. "We're leaving." Another barrage hit. The creature staggered slightly, but didn't fall. Alara scanned the arena.
There.
A damaged section of the wall, where the creature had slammed earlier. Structural weakness. "Over there," she pointed. The creature followed her gaze. And understood. With a thunderous roar, it charged. Each step cracked the floor beneath it. Energy weapons fired relentlessly. But it didn't stop. Couldn't stop. Because now, it wasn't just fighting for itself. It was fighting for her. For the one who had shown it something no one else had. Kindness. It hit the wall with unstoppable force. The structure shattered. Metal twisted. Explosions rippled outward. And then open space. Stars. Freedom. The creature didn't hesitate. It scooped Alara up with surprising gentleness. And leapt. The void of space swallowed them. Behind them, alarms blared across the Dominion station. Ships scrambled. Weapons locked. "Pursue them," the council ordered.
But they were already gone.
The creature moved with incredible speed, propelling itself through space using biological adaptations the Dominion had never fully understood. Alara clung to its armored plating, her heart racing. "You came back for me," she said, voice barely audible. The creature let out a soft, resonant hum. They traveled in silence for a while, stars streaking past, distance growing. Finally, they slowed. A distant planet came into view.
Blue. Green. Alive.
Safe. The creature descended toward it.
Gently. Carefully.
When they landed, Alara slid down onto soft ground, her legs shaking. She looked up at the massive being in front of her. No longer a monster. Not to her. "Guess we're both fugitives now," she said with a weak smile. The creature lowered its head. She placed her hand against it again, just like before. This time, there was no fear, only trust. Far across the galaxy, the Dominion watched the footage again.
And again.
And again. They had tried to demonstrate power,
Control.
dominance. Instead, they had revealed something far more dangerous. A truth they had long ignored. Humans didn't just fight. They didn't just survive. They changed things. They formed bonds where none should exist. Turned weapons into allies. Turned monsters into something else entirely. And that terrified them. On the distant planet, under an alien sky, Alara sat beside her unlikely companion. "Hey," she said softly, "we should probably give you a name." The creature tilted its head, thinking, waiting. She smiled. "How about Titan?" The creature let out a low, approving rumble. It fit. She leaned back, staring at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Dominion would be hunting them. But for the first time in a long time, Alara wasn't afraid. Because she wasn't alone. And neither was Titan. 15 seconds. That's all it took for the galaxy to realize they had made a mistake. A very big one.